All right, John Eats Cheap, and we're gonna have a breakfast, a recreation. You know, I love doing those, of things we have someplace. We had this in Vegas at a restaurant called Eggslut, and it's called the Slut. And it's just a small jar filled up about halfway with potato puree, like really pureed mashed potatoes, and then they put an egg on top and sous vide it for an hour. So it's kind of like a poached egg on top of potato puree, and then they sprinkle a little gray salt and chives on top, and then you eat it by dipping in crusty bread. Well, Mrs. Cheap, look, we cleaned out the freezer, found a crusty baguette Mrs. Cheap made, so we're gonna make our little dipping toast sticks out of that, and we're gonna get started here. I got the potatoes. I'm gonna make them a little more creamy than that. You want them about the consistency of TV dinner mashed potatoes. You know, they're kind of runny and stuff, so I gotta cream these up a little bit. I actually got these out of the freezer, had them in the freezer. Gonna add a little half and half. I've already thinned them out a little. Half and half and butter is what I'm using. I just wanna whisk these up till they're really creamy. You want them to be really soft so you can dip the toast in them, which is underneath the egg. You know, it's the egg and then the potato. You want to be able to dip it all in. Well, you'll see when we do it. But so I'm just pureeing these up. I'm even going to go a little more than that.
It's a good use for leftover mashed potatoes.
Oh, it is, yeah. Sous vide is heating up right now to 149 degrees. And then we'll cook them in there for an hour. Now, the one we had, the potatoes weren't real seasoned. You just trust that little seasoned salt that you put on top. So I think those are about done. We got our clean jar. I'm gonna put the potato down in there.
This is just a little 8-ounce jar.
Yeah, like a mason jar. I'll go a little bit more. You want to try and get it evened out. Might be better off using like a piping bag. Get it in there cleaner. We're going to have to wipe these rims off.
I'm sure they have a better system at the restaurant.
I'm sure they do. They have a well-oiled machine of a line. So I'll get about 4 out of these.
That was a long line at the restaurant.
It was. It's in the Cosmopolitan, was it?
Yes.
And there's also a location in LA at one of the street markets. So I'm gonna have 4 jars.
Cheap Junior's here for breakfast.
Yeah. All right. That's about all I'm gonna get out of there. So now I just wanna try and get it smoothed out a little bit so that the egg will lie flat on there. You wanna make sure it doesn't drip down into the potato. You just want it sitting on top. So we wanna fill in the crevices. So now I'm gonna go ahead and wipe those clean. Because we're gonna put the lid on top and submerge these in the water. That's the other thing, you wanna make sure you get it fairly full so there's not enough air in there to make it buoyant. I'm hoping I've done a good enough job of that. We'll find out. Geez, some of them I hope I left enough room for the egg.
This is fly by the seat of our pants. You've never made these before.
All right. So, by the way, these are not the really expensive eggs. These are free eggs from the farm. That's just the carton they had. So, I want to make sure I don't crack it right in there because, you know, you don't want any eggshell. That tends to happen occasionally. So we'll start this way. Goes in on top. This is actually pretty easy preparation.
Yeah, and you could do the potatoes the night before.
Well, yeah, like I said, these were out of the freezer, just that we had left over from when we had, you know, mashed potatoes. So they're in there. Alrighty. Now we just got to seal them up and get them cooking. You seal them up fairly tight. We don't put any seasoning on them yet. I mean, I'm not cranking this thing shut, but tight enough that no water's going to get in there.
And you could use like an old jelly jar
Yeah, you
or
get
something.
a small mayonnaise jar or something. That's what in the restaurant they come with, just a screw-on lid. It's not the, you know, like the ball canning jars. It's just a screw-on lid. So let's get to the sous vide and get to cooking. All right, we're up to 149, so I'm going to put these in. Go to the bottom. Yes. I was a little worried about that. If you have too much air in there, they will float. 149 degrees for 1 hour. Yeah, right, so here's our baguette. Again, Mrs. Cheap made this. It was in the freezer. Thawed it out. And that's about the size that they go by. So we just slice it into strips that we'll be dipping into the Eggslut. All right, just brushing these in a little bit of melted butter.
We want lots of bread for dipping.
Oh yeah. And just eating. Got the oven preheating up to 400. Get these a little toasty. All right, 1 hour is up. Ready to give it a try. There it is. I just hope it's all cooked and done. And I hope the jar's not full of water. Take that lid off. Ooh, that looks pretty good. So now is when they add a little gray sea salt. It's like called Celtic. Let me put just a little bit more in there. Celtic sea salt, gray, light gray, and then some chopped chives, a little bit more. And that's it. That's exactly what it looks like at the restaurant. All right, so they serve this with about 3 or 4 pieces of the crusty bread, and you just go in there, dip it in, go all the way down so you get some potato. Oh, I want some yolk too. Not much potato there. There we go. That is a big bite, but I'm a big boy. Here we go. That is just as good as the one in Vegas. Love it. Unique thing to make if you have company. That's great. I can double dip because it's mine. If you've ever had a great food somewhere that was unique and you thought, I'd like to know how to make that, let me know. I can do a little research and try and figure it out because I love recreating recipes like this. And this is a fairly cheap breakfast too. You pay a lot at the restaurant, not at my house. Sous vide, Eggslut with John Eats Cheap. Thanks for watching. Follow Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Enjoy. We've grown to.